I've always been really jealous of people who could just approach random strangers and confidently ask to take their portrait. So recently, I've taken steps to learn how to do this, and it's actually a lot easier than I thought. So let me teach you how to take stranger photos. So I'm here in Soho in central London. I've come here today to take some portraits of people. And what I want to do today is take portraits of strangers, people that I've never met. And I've always struggled with the confidence to just go up to people. I've always thought it's something I can't do. But I've realised recently this is an excuse, because you can learn how to do things, and it's just something I need to learn. So I reached out to one of my favourite YouTubers, Mr. Pablo Strong. If you haven't seen his channel, you should check it out. I'll put a link down in the description and one at the end of the video. He's got a great channel. He does a lot of photography videos, but he also does this series called The Streets of London, where he goes up and does street interviews just to random people, showing a real diversity of humanity and asking some really intriguing questions. They're really great videos, very intelligently made. I highly recommend you check them out. But anyway, I got in contact with him and I asked him kind of, would he meet up with me and would he teach me how to approach people? I don't know. So we're going to go, here he is. So we're going to go and find some people to photograph. So how would you recommend approaching someone on the street to take their photo? How do you do your interviews?
So who stops you on the street? It's usually people trying to get you to sign up for charities, things like that. People trying to sell you stuff, give you stuff. First of all, you really want to establish straight away that you're not trying to sell anything. You're not trying to get anything out of these people. So I always find it simplest to go straight in there and say, I'm taking some street portraits, do you mind if I take a quick photo? Or I'm doing some street interviews, can I ask you a couple of questions? And as long as you have unthreatening body language, you're not sort of being insistent or making people feel uncomfortable, generally I find that people are really open to having their photo taken. You're going to have excuses going through your mind. There's going to be a million reasons why you shouldn't stop and ask that person to take their photo. And I think that's just the anxiety associated with talking to strangers, really.
Thinking back on all the times I've wanted to do something and then I've kind of thought my way out of it, I'm sure that's true. I am inventing excuses so that I don't have to confront my fear.
Yeah, and it's amazing the variety of things that your brain comes up with to tell you to not do something.
At the time, I'm sure I genuinely thought these were actual reasons, but yeah, I think you've got a good point there. Right, I'm going to have to face my fear, I think now, and let's go and take some photos.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. I'm just doing some street portraits. Can I quickly take a photo?
Of me?
Yeah. What about me? Maybe you didn't see me.
I'll take requests afterwards.
Okay.
Right, thank you.
Where do you see the pictures?
I have an Instagram, Pablo Strong. So really I'm looking for people that just sort of catch my eye. There's maybe something slightly different about them. I don't think I'm drawn to a particular type of person, really. It's just anyone that looks like they might have a bit of a story. Excuse me, I'm so sorry, I'm just taking some street portraits. Can I take a quick photo?
Ahead. Yeah.
Can I get one with a cigar?
I think I like the damn thing.
Oh yeah. That's great. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you, alright.
Excuse me, I'm just taking some street portraits. Can I take a quick photo, please? Is that alright? Oh, I'm just a street portrait. So there you can see, you get rejected quite a lot, but there was no hostility there. He was quite happy to be stopped, but he just didn't want his photo taken. When you first start taking portraits, it's really difficult. It can feel quite difficult to deal with rejection. People saying, just straight up no when you ask to take their picture. And it hurts you a little bit inside. But the more you get rejected, the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And then actually, it's absolutely fine. And now, maybe for every 10 photos I take, I get 1 or 2 people saying no. You can really, really influence or completely kill an interaction if you feel uncomfortable. If you approach them in a slightly dodgy way, or you startle them in any way, you can completely kill the interaction. Excuse me, I'm just doing some street portraits. Can I take a quick photo,
sure,
please?
yes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Have a good day.
I really learnt a lot from filming with Pablo, and I think I've distilled it down into 5 key areas that I really took away from this. So here they are. So firstly, all the reasons you think you might not be able to do this are most likely excuses, and there may be excuses that you really believe. You may think that you don't live in the right area, or you don't have the right look, or you don't have the right camera, or all sorts of things, but it's not really about that. It's all about your attitude. So secondly, you've got to really lead the interaction. You've got to almost not give people a chance to overthink it, or they may change their minds. One thing I noticed Pablo does is he starts to actually raise his camera as he's talking, and he keeps his language very simple. He goes up to people and says, "I'm just taking some street portraits, would you mind if I took a quick photo?" It's kind of as concise as he can get it. Some people ask why you're doing it, and that's fine. Keep it honest, but keep it simple. Just say, "I'm a street photographer." And that tends to satisfy most people. Thirdly, you need to be really genuine and honest. People will respond to that. They can tell if you've got an agenda, they can tell if you're trying to hide something. You have nothing to hide, you're not doing anything wrong. If they ask why you want to take their photo, just genuinely be honest. Say, you know, "I really just love your tattoos," or "your hair's just really amazing," or "I love that vintage jacket." Generally, if people have gone to the effort to look a certain way, then they will appreciate when people notice it. Fourthly, it really is fine if people say no. It doesn't matter, you're not doing anything wrong, most people are just really polite, they're probably just too busy. It's absolutely fine, and if you did have the most worst interaction you can possibly imagine, you can just walk away around the corner and you'll never see him again. It's absolutely fine. Really, that is nothing to worry about. It's something I think probably a lot of us do worry about, but that really is nothing to worry about at all. My 5th and final point, it really does get easier as you go along, but probably to a much greater extent than you imagine. I went from being completely terrified to really, really enjoying it, and just having these really nice chats to people, and people were enjoying chatting, and it really, really is a fun activity to do, and it really makes you connect with people, and people are the most important thing in this life. They're what make you happy, and it's just, you know, you get great photographs and you have a really nice time. It's just win-win.
Oh, what is it for?
I'm just a street photographer. I do my Instagram.
Do I smile or?
Just neutral, just as you are, that's great. So one more. Brilliant, thank you very much. I'm just a street photographer. So that was a really interesting exercise for me. I feel like I've done a real 180-degree turn here, where I've gone from something that I would have been way too scared to do to something that I really had to stop myself from carrying on because I was just really enjoying doing it. It's interesting that early on I was getting a lot of rejections because I wasn't very confident, and I think as I got more confident with it, after realising that the rejections didn't really matter, I started getting fewer rejections, and then I ended up just having some really genuinely nice interactions with people. It became almost more genuine. And I think that this is the thing with confidence, is you just sort of practice it and it becomes a bit more kind of second nature to you. You agree with that?
Definitely. I think anything that's new, you know, you're going to feel a bit uncomfortable at first, and you just have to accept that you're going to have this level of anxiety when you're talking to people in the street, when you're asking to take their photo. The trick really with anything like this is to just keep doing it. You notice that uncomfortable feeling is there, but you just keep doing it. And before you know it, it becomes second nature. And yeah, as you say, you begin to enjoy it. And it's nice to talk to people it's nice to interact.
It is, isn't it? It becomes something that you actually just genuinely want to do rather than you're forcing yourself to do.
Yeah, and also you notice how people are really happy to talk and really happy to start.
Yeah. I think a really important thing I've taken away from this, I think, is that when you have that kind of fear barrier that has stopped you from doing things, that pushing through it is not something you're ever going to regret. It really isn't, because it's just such a liberating experience. It makes you feel so good and makes you kind of want to do it in other aspects of your life and work, and it just a really positive outcome all round. So I'd like to thank you very, very much for taking me on that journey of
You're welcome.
confidence, and subscribe to Pablo's channel because he's makes some really, really interesting content. Really check out his Streets of London, because it's such a diverse kind of spectrum of life, but that you see we're all kind of commonly held together with the same fears and anxieties. It's really good. Just watch it. Anyway, and thanks very much. We'll see you next time.